I'll try. So, kind of more relaxed. Okay. Okay. Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, darling, kiss me. Song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you. Song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you.
Glad I wore my dancing shoes today. Come, come, whoever you are welcome here. No matter your age, your size, the color of your eyes, your hair, your skin, you are welcome here. No matter your gender, whom you love, how you speak, or whatever your abilities, you are welcome here. You're welcome here whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears in your eyes. You're welcome here. No matter what you've experienced in the past, no matter what awaits you in the future, you are welcome here. Whether you believe in God all of the time, some of the time, or none of the time, you are welcome here. This is a community of open minds, loving hearts, and willing hands. You are welcome here at South Valley Unitarian Universalist Society. Good morning, everybody. My name is Zach. My pronouns are he, him, his. We want to welcome everybody gathered with us here in the sanctuary and everybody joining us online as well in the virtual audience. I don't have the list. I do have the list of the worship team. Our worship today is led by Reverend Laura Young. Our Time for All Ages is led by Rob Carlson. Our musicians that you just heard are Lisa Youngberg, Stephen Smith, and Richard Coleman. And Travis as well. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, good to see you, Travis. Glad I didn't leave you out. Our sound and streaming lead this morning is Cinnamon Wolf and Maureen Davies. Our board greeter is Sarah Featherstone back there. And also our membership chair, Laura Renshaw, who I saw earlier. There she is, right there. Awesome. All right. And just a reminder, as we continue to emerge from this time of pandemic, and that we continue to be in as well, let us do so gently and with compassion for everyone gathered here. Masks are optional at this time, but please be thoughtful in approaching others for greetings because we're all in different places and contexts. So before you hug or shake hands or high five or dance together, I don't know, anything, check in with each other first. Of course, we'd always like to extend an especially warm welcome to everyone who's gathered here for the first time. We're very glad you're here. And if you'd like to get to know us more, we encourage you to fill out the connection card in the virtual order of service or visit our welcoming table following worship today. If you missed the QR code at the front, you can also find it in the hardback hymnals as well. And after service, we are having coffee, tea, and snacks downstairs, along with, obviously, the chocolate that we're having during our service today. We also have a religious exploration program for children and youth that meets weekly on Sundays. And as I pointed out, Rob Carlson is the man to talk to there. He's happy to answer any questions that you may have after worship today. Also, when you arrived this morning, you may have noticed that there are now small cards for you to fill out as part of your joys and sorrows during worship. Are they not there? Oh, I lied. But that's a heads up for next week, is what that's about. So there's always that possibility. That will be something new that we're trying to do. So it's just it'll be a great way to help us understand what other folks in the community are going through, and if you need support, that will be available. Not this week, but prepare for it. And of course, there's always a lot happening here at South Valley, and the Happenings Weekly newsletter is your best way to stay up to date on that. Please subscribe to that if you haven't already via the link in the virtual order of service. We're also now on Twitter. Have you guys heard of this? It's a new, I'm told, social media platform. So we are there. Check it out if you're on Twitter. There will be some awesome announcements to share there as well. As far as quick announcements go today, the annual Congregational meeting is coming up in 2 weeks, May 15th at 2:15 p.m. Sorry? May 12th? No, 12:15. What did I say? I said 2:15, 12:15 p.m. in the sanctuary. Our annual meeting time is a time to hear from our ministry and leadership teams about their work, honor our volunteers, and conduct the business of our church as an organization by electing new leaders to our leadership committee and voting on our budget for the coming fiscal year. All are welcome to attend, but only members have votes in the elections. Another announcement, our young adult group will be meeting for coffee following that meeting, so contact Natalie Cole for more information. Give us a wave if you'd like to enjoy some coffee after that. And then finally, Variety Show Saturday is May 20th at South Valley. Children and youth are invited to share their skills, talents, and interests with the congregation in an evening of fun and community there. At this time, we're going to take a couple minutes to share warmth of community. So yeah, if you want to meet somebody new next to you, we're going to take just 2 minutes just to give everybody a quick greeting around. So say hi to one another and use those dancing shoes.
know we are so excited to gather with each other. I invite you to stand as you are willing and able for the first hymn. You can share with me. Our first hymn is number 360. Our first hymn is number 360, right? 360, here we have gathered, and here we go. Here we have gathered, gathered side by side. If you want to, and sing out. As battles, sorrows, and regrets, but in the shadows, let us not forget. We who now gather, the Father's kindness can heal us as we give Sing now in friendship, ours our heart's sole song.
All right, at this time, I've cajoled my younger brother who's visiting to help us light our chalice this morning. So Josh, if you want to come on up. Oh, and where's our... All right, and as we light our chalice, we invite you all to stand in body, mind, or spirit as we say our chalice lighting words, and you can use our actions if you want. Those at home are invited to light a chalice and share in the ritual on Zoom as well. All right. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, for the light of truth, and for the energy of action.
You may be seated. As we gather this morning, let us do so in the memory and the knowledge that we do so on ancestral and the current homelands of the Shoshone, Paiute, Goshute, and Ute tribes. As Unitarian Universalists, we acknowledge the complex history that resulted in the stealing of these lands and the cultural and physical genocide perpetuated against its peoples, at the hands and policies of white colonial settlers. We commit ourselves to undoing these harms, and we seek to authentically and with honesty engage in the necessary work that will produce justice for those disenfranchised and that promotes healing for the whole of the earth and all of its peoples. Good morning, I am the Reverend Laura Young. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and it is so good to see you. I'm glad that my chocolate fountain advertisement brought you out of the woodwork this morning. A couple of weeks ago, it was John Muir's birthday, and I thought, what a sweet way it would be to honor his legacy for the natural world, as we have this past month in April been honoring the earth as we root ourselves ever more deeply as a people who care and cherish the only home that we've ever known. So from John Muir, I call us into this time of worship. He wrote, "This grand show is eternal. It is always sunrise somewhere. The dew is never all dried at once. A shower is forever falling. Vapor is ever rising. Eternal sunrise, eternal sunset, eternal dawn and gloaming, on sea and continents and islands, each in its turn as the round earth rolls." May we walk humbly with one another as we settle into this time of connection and community. And now we're going to do the time for all ages. So I would like to invite all those who are young and young at heart and can handle sitting on the floor in front of chocolate fountains to come on up.
I'm really excited to share this story with all of you this morning. This is a story that
See if that's right.
has really wonderful pictures in it. And the pictures in this story, in a little bit, I'm going to have Reverend Laura help me so that she can show you the pictures. The pictures in this book were drawn by someone from our own community who you might know, who you might have met. Their name is Ash Rowan Sanborn, who is an illustrator and does many other awesome things. And unfortunately, Ash wasn't able to be here with us today, but I hope that sometime soon you'll have a chance to meet Ash. I wonder if any of you have ever heard somebody say that life is sweet. Have you ever heard somebody say that? Yeah. What might someone mean when someone says that something is sweet? They might mean some different things. What's one thing they might mean?
It might mean that life is good.
Life is good. Yeah. What else? What else might someone mean when they say something is sweet? It's delicious. Literally, it's sweet. It tastes good, right? In this community, I find that whenever I come here on a Sunday morning, it's a pretty sweet experience because we get to be part of this community that feels like kind of an extension of our own families. And whenever we get together and we have activities together and we come together to worship and to sing, and have chocolate sometimes, oh my goodness, well, that makes life pretty sweet. And so while Reverend Laura shows you these pictures, I'm going to share some of this story with you. And I'll bet some of you might relate to this first part if you have been a part of a new school or you start a new school year and you go to the lunchroom for the first time, if your school has a lunchroom, and you might not know what to do if you don't have friends already or know anyone else. And so this story says, it's the first day of school. I'm nervous and scared. There's no one to eat with, and I have cookies to share. The lunchroom is big, it's noisy and loud. There's so many faces. I'm alone in the crowd. There's too much room at my table. So I slink and I slide and I duck and I hide. I look to my left, I look to my right. My table's so big, and it's just me here. What a sad sight. There's too much room at this table. As more faces walk in, the room is a blur. Some faces are smiling, some are shy and unsure. I want to reach out. A thought has occurred. I think to myself, hey, maybe I've found the cure for too much room at my table. So she looks left and she looks right, and on the next page, we can see that she's planning how she's going to invite others to the table. So she welcomes another girl who looks sad and lonely, and then she invites some others, invites them to come down and share her cookies, and so they all scooch together to make room. But even with more friends, there is still too much room at the table. So they scooch and they scrunch and they scramble and they bunch. Eventually, the table is so full. What do you think they're going to do once the table is completely full? How are they going to let other people sit there? What do you think? What do you think you'd do? Yeah. And they decide that they're going to do that and pull up more tables. They're going to make even more room by pulling up more tables just as soon as we've got one more cookie left. So we can see on the last couple of pages that all of the cookies have been shared, and they came up with an idea about how they were going to gather everyone around the table by pulling up more and making one giant table. And so as she moves through these last few pictures, like I said, this is something that I really love about South Valley, our church community. It's important to all of us that we welcome everyone who comes through our doors, and then also find ways for them to feel involved, to feel a part of the church, and participate in the things that we have going on. And so being part of a loving community like this is part of what makes life pretty sweet, I think, here at South Valley. And so that was a book, again, that had the pictures drawn by one of our friends in this community, and she also has some coloring pages from this book that are up front that you can grab later on your way out. And in just a few minutes, those of you who would like, we're going to go downstairs. But first, we have one kind of symbolic way of sharing sweetness with one another. And that is with our chocolate fountains up here. So we're going to do a little bit of a chocolate communion. You know, something that churches do really well together is eat. Churches do really well at having events where we all get to eat together. Food really brings people together. And so you all are going to be able to be the first ones to participate in our chocolate fountain. Let me tell you about how this is going to work. We're all going to kind of start, maybe some of you over on this table, some of you on this table, decide which one skewer you would like to put through the fountain. We've got some pound cake over there. We've got some marshmallows, bananas, strawberries, and brownies. If chocolate isn't your thing, that's fine. You can take one of the skewers of something that you would like. What? Just one. We want to make sure that all of our other friends have enough to scrape up the crumbs with, right? Wonderful. So if you all would like, you can, some of you, maybe at this table, and then one by one, some of you at this table.
Take a napkin.
And yeah, definitely grab a napkin so that you can. And if you're wearing a mask, you can feel free to take your mask down to eat it. And you can go ahead and do that up here. You can enjoy it up here because in just a moment we're going to head downstairs.
Yeah, go for it.
And so this is, again, something that we do to remind us that we're part of a big community. I think that, you know, when we're eating maybe by ourselves, that's fine because we're still, you know, getting food which we enjoy and we're still getting our nourishment. But gosh, it sure is enjoyable to be able to eat with others, isn't it? Because there's other sharing that we can do with the conversations that we have with each other while we're eating. Have any of you ever tried a chocolate fountain before? Yeah, some of you know. And then once you've had a chance to dip your chocolate, if you want to maybe move back from the table so that our other friends have a chance to scooch in there. And then, once you are all done, I can take your stick and your napkin. Just maybe let's put a pile of sticks and napkins over here on this side. Oh boy, it smells awful chocolatey over here. Thank you. Oh yeah. And then, hold on just a moment, and then we'll all go downstairs together. All right. Some of the strawberries take a little bit, yeah.
And after service, you may come back upstairs with your parents, if your parent says yes, and have more.
And then in just a moment, as they're finishing up, you are invited to come downstairs with Grace and I and participate in some activities if you wish. If there are younger children, infants, toddlers, small children, we also have our kids' corner available in the back corner of the sanctuary, and we have a nursery downstairs for kids, I would say about age 4 and under. We're working on hiring a child care professional for down there, so at least at the moment, temporarily, we're asking that if you do decide to use the nursery downstairs, you accompany your child down there. All right, how we doing? Oh, we got a big strawberry. You wanna work on that while we're going downstairs? Yeah, that's probably good. I don't wanna make you have to eat that all at once. That's not gonna make it in.
And for those who are young at heart and chocolate lovers who are in the adult part of the audience, you are also now invited to come forward and enjoy a sweet treat in celebration of being together again after a time of pandemic. So let's sing our children out, and you can come up and enjoy some chocolate as well. Don't be shy. I know you love chocolate. Downstairs.
Would you like me to read the Offertory piece? Is Sarah handing out the baskets, or should I do that?
She's handing out the baskets.
Okay, I made it harder for her to reach up with the back.
I know, I'm surprised. excited to enjoy a little sweet thing. Thank you. There are just enough napkins. Yes, more. Oh, thank goodness. Look at Dana get a napkin. That's a corner for us. And Dana's got the grab. Dana has a. During the offertory, we'll also maybe pass a trash can around as well for you. But don't confuse the two.
Exactly. All right, folks, this community, our church, and its many chocolate fountains are only made possible by the gifts you give of your time, your talent, and your treasure. Many of you pledge monthly to support our work, and for this we're very grateful. Your gifts help to ensure that we're able to live our values of love and justice in the world outside. At South Valley, it's our practice to share our worship service offerings with a charitable organization that aligns with our values and principles. And for May and June, we've selected World Central Kitchen, which works with local resources to provide freshly made meals on the front lines of global humanitarian, climate, and community crises, including the ongoing war in Ukraine and areas of the U.S. that were struck by tornadoes last year. They provide freshly made meals to people affected by disaster, support and educate local small food producers, and provide culinary training as well. They've created a new model for disaster relief as they help devastated communities recover and establish resilient food systems. Food is central to life and family all over the world, so please give generously. Please join me now in reading our offertory words. They are printed in your order of service. We are this church. We are its hands, its heart, its voice. Together, we share the wealth of this community and sustain it with our gifts. We'll now accept the offering, and for those of you at home, you're invited to use the giving link in the online order of service.
Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm wood crisp apple strudels, doorbells and sleigh bells, and schnitzel with noodles. Wild geese that fly with the moon on their wings. These are a few of my favorite things. Girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes, snowflakes that stay on my nose and eyelashes, silver white winters that melt into springs. These are a few of my favorite things. When the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad, so bad, so bad.
For all we have received and all we have found the courage to give, may we be truly grateful. May these gifts be a blessing on South Valley and World Central Kitchen. This surely is a day for getting up and moving in the sanctuary. We'll now participate in our ritual of joys and sorrows. You're invited to come forward in a moment and to select a stone from the table here and place it in the water to represent that which is on your heart, either personally a sorrowful moment or something that is bringing you deep joy in your life that you want honored by the bond of this community. At the close of the ritual, when all who have wished to have added their stone, I will add one final stone to represent those joys and sorrows which remain unspoken, but still resting on the surface of the heart. Those gathered here in body may now process up to the front, and for those gathered in our virtual community, I encourage you to use the chat box to share your joys and sorrows with one another at this time. that which remains unspoken. Just breathe with me a little bit. There's a palpable feeling in the room, I think, of presence. Let's just breathe it in together and fully arrive again and again into this moment of presence. For we are always arriving, arising, and passing away in every moment. Let us be quiet with each other in a time of meditation, reflection, or prayer. O Holy One, who goes by every name and no name at all, sacred presence, spirit, bumblebee that lands on a leaf, we give thanks for all that just is. We seek in this moment to connect with Source as we understand it, to connect with one another, and to let our beauty that is inside be called to service to the outside. Let us walk gently with one another in this time, nurturing and caring for one another, building the beloved community, one moment, one interaction, one smile at a time. May we rest in the deep knowing that we are already good enough, already whole, and already blessed. Amen. I can still recall vividly that first Sunday. It was probably springtime. The weather was likely sunny and temperate. It nearly always is in Santa Barbara. I sat in the far back pew. A dozen years had passed since I had last been in church with any sort of regularity, and my body felt uncertain, timid. My voice seemed dry. The service began, flowed through its parts, and ended. And I have no idea what was said that day because I had been quietly crying in the back pew the entire time. Sometime after that first hymn, a crack in my dry heart appeared and let loose a cry of relief so deep I could no more stop the flow of tears than I could stop the sun shining through the stained glass window at the front of that sanctuary. The words fell like the sweetest water into my searching heart, answering the questions of my heart with a gentle and firm yes. Yes, there is a place for you. The walls of every Unitarian Universalist congregation echo with stories similar to mine. We have always been a haven for the disenchanted seeker. This is our superpower. It is also possibly our greatest weakness, for while we are very good at welcoming with open arms, we're often unsure about what comes next. We are terrible evangelizers, and we can be very hard to get to know, and our pathways to participation are slow to change in response to cultural shifts and generational differences in how church might be done. In other words, we're prone to getting a bit stuck in the process over outcome because, frankly, we're a bit allergic to anything that might suggest that we do indeed offer salvation in this community. And yet I would posit that we very much do offer salvation. And you'll remember that salvation from that testament that maybe some of you are familiar in the Christian tradition, that word salvation can also be translated as liberation. And notice what door opens in your heart if you stop thinking about salvation as something that you need to get from something outside of yourself, and instead think of it as the opening to a new journey in your humanity. And I would suggest that that is very much the work that we are up to in Unitarian Universalism. Reverend Scott Taylor, one of the leaders of Soul Matters, a Unitarian Universalist collaboration for worship and small group ministries in which this congregation participates, has offered that the primary theological basis of a Unitarian Universalist congregation is the work of healing disconnection. The work of healing that which is disconnected. Reverend Taylor writes, today, people are not so much looking for an organization to join as they are searching for companions to travel with. Their primary question is no longer, quote, do these people believe and think like I do? But will this place provide me with tools and partners for my journey? That's a fundamentally different question than past generations of Unitarian Universalist congregations. It is an invitation to journey alongside, rather than a place of delineating perhaps what we do not believe about God or the sacred or the world. We are moving now from a denomination that insisted there be no faith tests to one that offers companionship along the path to liberation. I would offer that perhaps we are maturing from a reactivity to a this is that we are not, to one that embraces the journey towards heartfulness and kindness. Yet our structures for getting the work done are often insufficient for creating the conditions for this level of transformation. Yes, I am talking about committees and meeting minutes, Robert's Rules of Order, and the drafting of annual reports that, just like our weekly newsletter, are often not read. Some of these are mandated, of course, by our bylaws, and some are useful for the continuities of ministry in and of the community, but none of them are why someone comes through our door, and they are certainly not what gets anyone to stay. What gets folks to stay is the connections that we make. It starts with the healing of the self in response to finding finally a safe place to know oneself as beloved without expectation of arrival to any certain philosophical or theological shore. It grows stronger as connections to fellow travelers are formed, and it matures as that which is fundamentally disconnected is restored to inherent fullness. So the question is, are we using the right tools for the journey in this time and context? Are we building spaces for healing and connection that are responsive to the emergent journey? Or are we continuing to insist that people fit into our existing structure because it's easier to throw up our hands in frustration at the lack of volunteerism rather than to stay open and curious about who is seeking us now and what gifts they might bring. Because we, like most human organizations, are a little afraid of change. These are the kinds of questions that I offer to our congregation for consideration as we emerge from nearly 2.5 years of pandemic life. Perhaps we will find that we no longer have the appetite for that which previously served us well. Over the coming months, the Committee on Ministry and the Leadership Development team will be inviting our congregation into conversation about what it means to be in community together now. If you're not familiar with the Committee on Ministry, either because this is your first time or because you just didn't know that wasn't even a thing here at South Valley, it's a small group of people formed from the Ministerial Search Committee that seeks to be the listening ground alongside me as your minister. And our leadership, development, and succession team seeks to nurture the community to grow into their talents and to develop rich ministries. And together, these two teams seek to discern and to support the well-being of our community and ask the question, what does it mean to share the ministry? For we are not a top-down hierarchical organization. We are a people sharing in ministry together. So the question is, who do we want to be? How do we want to follow along? And what does it mean now to be a Unitarian Universalist? What is the world requiring us? And who will we be in response to that call? If we are indeed a saving faith with a message of hope, we must figure out what that looks like now. Our hope is not something that fits into a bullet point list of a belief test. It is a process of unfolding and becoming. It is a process of delivering us to perpetual shores of insight such that our heart grows and changes in collaboration and in cooperation with the travelers we are so lucky to be in partnership with. What we do is saving work. This room and this heart, this place, is a beacon of hope for this community, and it has been for several decades already. And as we emerge from this time of pandemic and we seek to be resilient and responsive to what is, we must perpetually ask these questions in our hearts and of one another. Each of our journeys began with our first Sunday. For as much as I am now your called minister, I did begin my journey as a back row weeper. 15 years have passed since then, the span of my youngest child's life. And I can surely attest that I have been saved by the hearts and the hands, the connections, and the communities that have touched my life in this faith tradition all along the way. The well of this community is as deep as it ever was. And the challenge is to keep the water flowing from one set of hands to the next. You cannot pass water if you are resistant to change. You can only pass water. You can only pass life if you are willing to open and to ask and to receive. Let us be mindful of that today as we celebrate the arrival of more and more to our shores and honor the goodness that was our chocolate community, remembering that we are the community that we have been waiting for, and together we can build the beloved community for one another and for generations to come. May it be so, and amen. And now we're going to officially recognize a few new people who have decided to, as we say, sign the book in our congregation. We invite Laura Renshaw to come forward at this time. If you have your order of service in print or on your phone, you might want to open that up right now because we're going to do a little ceremony together with one another. Our congregation is made richer by those who journey with us. And sometimes those people who have been journeying for a while decide that they would like to make it official. Ours is a free faith, and our church is not based upon dogma or upon creeds, but upon the thoughtful and freely given commitment of mind and heart in community. Into this circle of shared search and collective counsel and mutual support, these people have elected to enter. May we as a community fulfill and practice their best hopes. May their wisdom and energy be generously shared here, and may we welcome them with gladness and with open hearts. As I call your name, please come to the front and bring with you your orders of service, and any companions you brought with you are also welcome to come and join us as well. I'd like to invite Carolyn Erickson, Catherine Peterson, Jordan Roberts, and Kristen Ward to the front. Yeah, maybe. Maybe we should just try to go down there. Yeah, we do. Okay. You guys can stand and face the congregation. Yeah, you can stand up here too, Shawnee. You're welcome. Here you go. Okay. All right.
Up there at that microphone, it smells wonderfully like chocolate, I just want to say. Welcome, all of you. Membership in this community comes with both responsibilities and opportunities for living an enriched life of service. As a member, we ask 3 things of you. First, we ask that you attend worship regularly. Worship is the heart of our congregation's shared experience. We ask that you make it a priority to be present with us on Sunday mornings. Second, we ask that you get involved in one of our many ministries and make service to and for the community part of your commitment. This is a shared ministry, and our work is amplified and made brighter by the gifts you share with us. Join one of our Soul Matters groups. The choir helps shape our social justice work. Support members with our caring circle or volunteer for special projects as you can. Our leadership and ministry teams welcome you to learn alongside as we nurture this community in our care. There's more on the back. I don't know if it's me or you.
It's you.
Yes, it's me. Third, we ask that you make a pledge to support the work of this community. Your pledge is critical to sustaining our many ministries and ensuring that those in need of a community such as ours may know of it. Membership is for every season of your life, the good and easy times, the uncertain and difficult times, and all the times in between. We walk with each other through each of those seasons and ask that you do the same with us. Together we build the beloved community that is South Valley Unitarian Universalist Society. We are so glad you are here.
In the spirit of dedication, I now invite you, our newly received members, to join in speaking the words of commitment as printed in the order of service. Just go ahead and start.
Okay. That works.
This is now my religious community. It is composed of people both like me and different. Together we make it what it is. I want this community to be a source of light, kindness, and heartfulness. It will be if I am. I will make generous gifts if I am a generous giver. It will be a friendly
Will the congregation please join me in welcoming our new fellow members by speaking together the affirmation printed in your order of service, the first paragraph marked Congregation. It is
The mission of South Valley Unitarian Universalist Society to be a community of hope for religious explorers who wish to transform our world into a more just, compassionate, and sustainable place. We embrace diversity and provide opportunities for growth, spiritual growth, and celebration of life.
into this covenantal community of memory and promise, you are now enfolded. May this congregation nurture and challenge them, offering comfort and guidance and calling forth the best within them. May they, in their turn, bring it to this institution energy, vision, and commitment, that it may be ever more fully the community we have hoped for it to be. And the congregation is invited to respond with the second paragraph, we rejoice.
In the promise of new friendship and growth, as we renew and expand our covenant together, may the splendid venture of life continue to be celebrated faithfully here. And in this community, may the human spirit always find an ample home.
Now we're going to give you some gifts. Tell them about the flowers. So the flower represents the human journey for both the beauty and the prickliness that can be life. May this bloom today remind you that you are always welcome here. And we also are giving you the Unitarian Universalist Pocket Guide so that you will actually know what it is that you have signed up for. And can answer questions when people say, why do you have such a long name for your church? And we can say, well, there are other churches that have longer names.
I love that we talked today a lot about hope and that we had yellow roses, which the color yellow does symbolize hope. So take your roses home with you and think about this church community and that you're a part of it.
Yay, welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you. And now you're invited to stand as you are willing and able. We'll extinguish our chalice and sing our final hymn with one another. You want to give the words? Oh, sorry, I left my binder down there.
All right. We extinguish
Wish this chalice,
but not the warmth of love, light of truth, or the
energy of action. Hold each other in our hearts until we meet again. Please remain standing for our final hymn, number 8, Mother Spirit, Father Spirit. hear now the benediction. May the light of love shine upon you. Be out from within you, be gracious unto you, and bring you peace. For this is the day we are given. Let us be grateful and rejoice in it. Please be seated for the postlude and join us for social hour.
What a day this has been. What a rare mood I'm in. Why, it's almost like being in love. There's a smile on my face for the whole human race. Why, it's almost like being in love. Swear I was falling. I would swear I was falling. It's almost like being in love. What a day this has been. What a rare mood I'm in. Why, it's almost like being in love. There's a smile on my face for the whole human race. Why, it's almost like being in love. Oh, the music of life seems to be like a bell that is ringing just for me. And from the way that I feel when that bell starts to peal, I could swear